In the midst of social distancing and business lockdowns, a freelance writer and a graphic artist bought a bus, converted it into a tiny home on wheels, and moved out of our 4-bedroom house. 1 year later, we downsized to a Chevy Express. Now we travel between Texas and Pennsylvania from April through November while exploring small towns with rich histories. In the winter, we hunker down in Texas in our schoolie and dream of our next big trip.
We're Alan and Theresa.
And we're rolling with our gnomies.
Today, the Courthouse Square is a gathering space for professionals, of which the Anderson County Courthouse is its main feature.
Awesome. Here's a historical marker in front of a federal building labeled the Texas A&M AgriLife Extension. Palestine Post Office and Federal Building. Purchased in 1907 from St. Philip's Episcopal Church so that a new post office could be built for Palestine. Located in Palestine's commercial district, the new post office building was an imposing addition to the downtown and prominently affirmed the presence of the federal government in Palestine. Other federal offices also were located in the building, including the Selective Service Office and the National Weather Bureau's reading station. The Palestine Post Office vacated the building in 1962. Thereafter, until 1987, it was used solely for the offices of various federal agencies. And there's the building, folks.
The Anderson County Jail is a locally rare example of the Art Deco architecture expression typically used on the design for public buildings. The jail has remained virtually unaltered since its construction. According to Sanborn maps, this building, the Anderson County Jail, was constructed in 1931. It's now privately owned. It's just a really cool building. And there's still bars on the inside of those windows. Right. Oh, that's awesome. Okay. Lived here in town during the Civil War. And he actually kept a steam engine.
Yeah, what's this say? Anderson County, created from Houston County, March 24th, A.D. 1846.
Palestine, the county seat.
So they put a little rock here to commemorate it.
Now, as I was saying, the station master kept a steam engine running at the rail yards during the Civil War so that when the soldiers came marching through, they had a hot bath.
Sounds reasonable.
So, it sounded like a fine thing to do. You ask me? That is one pretty courthouse.
Yeah, we'll walk around it on this side of the street.
Now, this is the second part of town that was built. You had the old town, and then this area was built.
Oh, the Duel. On the east side of the square in 1860, Dr. H.E. Quarles of Mound Prairie and Dr. John Woodward of Palestine, both prominent doctors, decided to settle their dispute in gentlemanly fashion. The sheriff arrived just as the two men had paced off their distance and fired their pistols. Quarles died instantly. Woodward was not struck. The dispute arose over the treatment by Quarles of a slave. Woodward would later die in the Civil War. Around 1900, the first building on this site was a two-story wood frame structure owned by E.S. Jameson. It housed Simon's bookstore on the first floor and saloon hall on the second. Saloon hall was an open floor used for social, political, and religious events. In 1879, the building burned and this lot remained vacant for several years. Later, there was a meat market in the front and a blacksmith shop facing Mallard Street. The present structure was built not long after the turn of the century, brick from the courthouse of 1885, which later burned as a part of this structure. The current owners are the Bentley family and is used for law offices. Palestine has some interesting history. It looks like they had a lot of gunfights here, though.
I mean, it was the Wild West at one point.
That's how they settled their disputes in Palestine. You mistreat your slave, you get shot.
Seemed like you could get shot in Palestine for just about anything.
Pretty much.
There's some hysterical markers.
You steal a man's pajamas while he's sleeping, you get shot.
I don't know about that.
You don't know if you get shot for that?
Nah, maybe.
I bet you would, especially if he's wearing them.
His wife might take exception to that, but then again, he might take exception to it. I guess it all depends on whether or not you ask these questions. All right, let's go check out these
Let's
markers.
walk across the street and check
At
out
the
these
courthouse.
hysterical markers. There's some vehicles coming.
That is a beautiful courthouse.
It is indeed.
Did you get a shot at that building right there?
I did not, but we'll get it. So we got all kinds of schmoogie-boogie going on here. People heading home from work, and we're interrupting their ice cream time.
We are definitely interrupting the flow of rush hour here.
Governor Thomas Mitchell Campbell. Born near Rusk in Cherokee County, Thomas Mitchell Campbell was the son of Thomas Duncan and Rachel Moore Campbell. Financed his education by working for the county clerk in Longview. In 1878, he was admitted to the bar and opened his law practice in Longview. He got married that year and then moved to Palestine in 1891 after he was named receiver for the International and Great Northern Railroad. He was general manager of the line from 1893 to 97. In 1905, without prior political experience, he announced as a candidacy for governor. He received a Democratic nomination despite strong opposition at the party's 1906 convention. Rallying supporters with the rousing march tune, "The Campbells Are Coming," he won the election by a large margin and became Texas' second native-born governor. The first was Campbell's boyhood friend, Governor James S. Hogg. In 1908, Governor Campbell was elected to a second term. His administration was marked by strong antitrust legislation, a pure food law, and prison reform. When his term expired, Governor Campbell returned to a banking and law career in Palestine. In 1916, he ran for the United States Senate, but lost. He died in Galveston and was buried in Palestine's East Hill Cemetery. Long live Governor Thomas Mitchell Campbell.
But that right there is an original building. And it's got a marker on it.
Yeah.
And it says the adult probation building. We'll get them in just a minute.
We got more hysterical markers here, folks. Right in front of the county courthouse here in Anderson County, which was carved out of Houston County, or as my GPS navigator says, Houston.
Yeah. P.L. Chisholm's devotion to education was unsurpassed. From the time of his youth through his many years as a teacher, principal, superintendent, supervisor, he never stopped challenging himself and others for education.
All right, that's good enough. He was an educator.
Yep.
All right, Timothy Stephen Smith.
He was born the son of a runaway slave. Smith yearned for a better life. He attended Prairie View A&M College and received a degree in vocational agriculture. He became a teacher, educating the children of North Carolina and Texas for 42 years.
He also served Anderson County as chairman and election judge for Precinct 2, president of the Voters Committee, and was a member of the Democratic Party Executive Committee.
A proponent of equal rights, he and others filed civil actions in 1973 to challenge the voting
boundary lines
in the county to equalize voting rights.
Nice.
Okay.
This isn't a bad looking courthouse.
Right.
I like the columns. They've got columns all the way around it.
Yeah,
It is square, actually, kind of.
but it is not. The left and right wings are longer.
Oh, okay, so it's rectangular.
It is rectangular. They're longer than they are wide.
Yeah, okay. You can see it once you get around to the other side.
It is definitely an optical illusion. The architecture that makes it look square.
Well, you can see it clearly once you get around to the side. Then you can see it's longer on this
If you
end.
get on the long side, you can tell, but if you're looking at it from any corner, it looks square. And it is absolutely a gorgeous building. And there is a historical marker up here as well. I think there's one on every corner.
I think there is on every side of the building. Chisholm, Maine. Little is known about this Anderson County pioneer until he married Elizabeth Van Winkle in Crawford County, Illinois in 1820. The Maines lived in the Illinois township of Palestine until 1833, when, drawn by a favorable change in the Mexican colonization laws, they moved their family to the Nacogdoches district of what is now Texas. Chisholm, Maine applied for a land grant and received property in what is now Anderson County in 1835. He farmed the land, as was required under the terms of his grant, and joined the Republic of Texas Army for a brief tenure in 1836. 10 years later, the first Texas legislature created Anderson County, and Chisholm, Maine was appointed as one of 3 men to establish a site for a county seat and to give it a name. Along with James Box and John Parker, also from Illinois Palestine Township, a 100-acre tract of land was selected and accepted by the Anderson County Commissioner's Court. That's awesome. Early histories of Anderson County credit Chisholm, Maine with naming the new Anderson County seat Palestine for his former residence in Illinois.
It happens
Cool. So it's named after a town in Illinois.
Okay.
Not, as you might suppose, the Middle Eastern nation,
Right.
state, Palestine, or Palestine as they pronounce it, I guess.
And these are original windows.
They are indeed.
They are Ripley. They are original windows. It must be rained over.
Cool looking breezeway right here.
There's one under every entrance, dude. All four. Hey. No marker.
There's one on the corner.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna go over here. And there's one right there that we didn't see. Or that we haven't got yet. We got this little stone marker here.
Oh, there's a good view of Avenue A.
Yeah, there's Avenue A right up ahead as you're looking into the sun. Oh, you can't read this.
Yeah.
It's all faded. Plus you got the sun glare on it, so you can't really read what it says.
Yeah.
You'd have to get real close to it, I think. You might have to read it by braille. Got Scales of Justice, Lady Liberty up there at the top with her Scales of Justice and her sword. Here's a World War II memorial dedicated to the memory of all citizens of Anderson County, Texas, who gave their lives in the service of their country.
Okay.
Anderson County Courthouse, created by the Texas Legislature on March 24, 1846, Anderson County was named for former Republic of Texas Vice President Kenneth L. Anderson. The first court in the new county was held in a log house at nearby Fort Houston in 1846. The first courthouse was a one-story frame structure built in 1847.
Located on the northeast corner of the square, it was replaced by a two-story brick courthouse in 1856. A third courthouse, also brick, was completed in 1886 but was destroyed by fire in 1913. The fourth and present Anderson County Courthouse was built in 1913 to 14, designed by Austin architecture firm of Charles Page and Brothers. It was dedicated on December 20th, 1914. The Beaux Arts style building features giant order
Ionic columns, pedimented porticos on each facade, and is topped by a dome surmounted by a justice statue.
Still in use as the seat of justice for Anderson County, the courthouse underwent a major renovation in 1986. This historically and architecturally significant building serves as a source of pride for county residents.
It really is a nice, pretty building. Nice.
There's no central air, though.
No, they got window units all the way around.
Alright.
Well,
I'm not sure where Northeast is.
We can. Well, the sun's setting over there.
It's over there. So this must be northeast. The original courthouse would have been built over here.
Yeah.
I wonder what that building says.
Over there. 'Cause that's west.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Northeast. All right. Let's go see what these buildings say. Because there's markers on 3 of these right here. 2 of them look original.
601 East Lacey. The first building on this location was the Juiced Cheap Cash Store built by Alexander Juiced, a French immigrant.
Following a devastating fire that destroyed Juice's store for the 3rd time, the lot stood vacant until 1929 when the Murphy building, see the front of the building near the top, was constructed.
Awesome.
It was occupied by A&P Food Store until 1950s.
Ah, yes. There's one of those signs. H.C. Murphy, 1930.
Yep. This is the oldest building on the north side of Courthouse Square. It was originally built to be a grocery and feed store. Later, a large shed was constructed behind the building for wagon storage. Paramount Cleaners occupied the building for many years, with its owner being Benny Lyles, followed by Ray and Reba Barnes, and lastly, Denisa Ferris.
Sweet. This is a county government office, probation department, 611 East Lacey Street. Before 1850, Judge John B. Mallard built a 2-story structure on this site. The downstairs housed a saloon and the upstairs was his law office. Judge Mallard was the first lawyer to practice law in Palestine. He died in 1854. After the Civil War, the building was sold to J.W. Osment. By 1855, the 2-story was used as tenements. The building was destroyed by fire in the late 1890s. And then it was vacant until the 1940s.
Alright, if I don't do this right, then I'm going to be on the bad side of my wife. So y'all bear with me and pray for me. But while you're doing that, don't forget, share us with your friends, like us if you like us if you don't, subscribe to the channel. It helps us out. God bless.